So, apologies for the lighting, but here in my office, I keep my records on a shelf here, on these two shelves. But some of the artwork I really like. I'm not taking this Madonna one as an example, it's just an old one I've got lying around. But on today's video, I make these lovely vinyl frames to hold some of my favourite art pieces in them from my record collection. Hi, I'm Sean. Welcome to the shed. Follow me down the drive. Morning. Time to get on with today's build. Needed some 1/4-inch stock of plywood, so I've been to the hardware place to get it. Time to get cutting. Today's project is made up of 1/4-inch or 6mm plywood. I'm using hardwood ply, and to minimise tear out of the sheet, I'll be using a similar technique to that demonstrated by David Picciuto over at Make Something TV. I'll paste a link to the video down below. Essentially, where I intend to cut, I will tape up the line of the cut using masking tape first. Today's design is inspired by an old Instructables post that I first found a couple of years ago by a user called Jonatron. The original was for use on a laser cutter to cut all the pieces out, and I thought I could make this with a saw. So I'll paste a link to the plans down below if you want to go and have a look at them yourself. The overall size of the frame is 13 and 15/16 of an inch square, or 14 inches square to make it a lot easier, and an overall thickness of 1 inch. Taking off the few bits of tear out that missed the tape with a sanding block. To prevent any further tear out, I decided to make a quick cutting board using an offcut of butcher's block and some 4x2 clamped to it. This allowed me to use a temporary stop block to allow the strips to be trimmed to the length they were required with my flush cut saw. To ensure I was able to get a record sleeve in and out of the frame, I used an old 12-inch single and covered it in cling film and used it to butt the first layer of the frame up against for gluing. After completing this frame's first layer, I did the same for the second frame, as I'm making 2 frames in this video. The frame is made of 4 layers, the initial square backboard, 2 layers, and then a final front bezel which is a slightly thicker layer, and this is to hold the record in place. Once the final pieces were in place, I called it a day and left them overnight to dry, ensuring any squeeze out was cleared up whilst it was still damp. The following morning I removed all the clamps and finally remembered I had my new belt and disc sander to use, so using it I tidied the 4 edges to each frame. Apologies for that, you see more things like that over on my Instagram, shaunintheshed. I applied 2 coats of polyurethane spray varnish, knocking back the raised grain slightly in between coats. Do you like my new mask? I can breathe again whilst working in the workshop now. Finished and given a rub down to take off the raised grain where present. I now need to apply some picture hooks to the back. Because of the thinness at the top of the frame, with only having a single 6mm piece of ply. I'm a bit stuck when it comes to applying a screw to the top for a pitch hook, so I'm just going to have a play around and see if I can find some adhesive in the shop. Super glue, CA glue, super glue it is then. I hate CA glue. Luckily I have a lead of acetone in the house. Right, I now need to sort this out. And that is how I made these vinyl frames. I've had a lot of these records for quite a long time now, and they sit on the shelf gathering dust because I tend to listen to a lot of it digitally, only because it's a lot more convenient. But I don't want to get rid of the records and sell them on. I like to keep them because I like the artwork. So I thought, what better thing to do than put them on display. Coming up over the next few weeks, I have multiple projects coming up. I have a Harry Potter Halloween themed one coming up for the end of October. And then beginning of November, I've got a little personal project of my own, getting ready for Remembrance Sunday and getting a few things put into place for myself. I have a subscribe button in the top corner. Feel free to click it so you're notified whenever a new video comes out. I tend to do them every Sunday evening, and there'll be a selection of my previous videos down the bottom corner. Thank you for watching.